Get up and get out. Get out. Get out.
I have a question for you.
Say Christ is Lord. Say Christ is Lord. Say it. You say Christ is Lord. Get out. Get out. Christ is Lord.
Hello and welcome in to another episode of Offensively Accurate, hosted by yours truly, Atlas Thugged, aka White Boy Deep Voice, aka Aaron Shepard, aka your favorite racially ambiguous groiper. And as somebody just asked in the chat a little bit ago, did the Second Civil War start a few hours ago? Possibly. We got a lot to get into, and that was obviously very concerning for a lot of different reasons, and perhaps this potentially is the false flag that many have been anticipating, specifically given the fact that there has been an increased National Guard presence in a lot of the major cities, pretty much since the moment that Donald Trump has taken over, and this is largely in part to assist with the immigration or the deportations that are supposedly happening, but also aren't happening. So there's a lot to get into. Appreciate everybody for being here. Glad you guys are in here with me. Man, if you guys were like me, you probably were getting really excited. You probably had you got your coffee ready, and then when 3 o'clock came around, you're ready to watch Factions, and we didn't get it. And Factions didn't air today. And man, aren't those guys lazy? No, I'm just messing. I wasn't actually ready for them to start on the holidays soon, so this might be the last stream you'll see of NAV until after Thanksgiving. From anybody that's with NAV, but I was waiting for it, ready for it. We also have the Marjorie Taylor Greene Crashout, which has got to be one of the most god-awful optics I've seen anybody have, period. Nobody's on Marjorie Taylor Greene's side now at this point. This is aggressive. It is kind of sad. I don't want to be someone who's going to sit here and pile on to everything, but I will kind of give you my take on where this is at and just why I think it is such a poor optics for MTG, but it's also a little bit ironic too, and there are some lies being told across the bow between both sides, and particularly something coming from Scott Jennings we'll take a look at in terms of what really kind of pushed MTG over the edge. But alas, this is why women shouldn't be in politics. This is a very aggressive case of this actually, and it is unfortunate because MTG was doing some pretty solid work for the time that she was not crashing out. We also have a crazy instance of a lot of these dissonant, I'm just going to come out and say it, grifters, influencers. They're pushing gambling from some random site that was supposedly being fronted on at Costa Rica, being ran through a VPN, routing it through like France, and then it was really from Pakistan. And so many might not realize this, but on X, there was a push from people like Jake Shields, Sam Parker, Morgan Ariel, and there's a few others in there, Elijah Schaefer being another big one, all pushing some random gambling site called biggers.com. The funny name, actually, but supposedly it was from Pakistan, and their account's already been banned on X. It was all a coordinated post, almost all at once, from all these individuals saying, go and bet for biggers.com. And it's just sad because this is not the kind of grifting we need in the right wing. Jake Shields and Tunez and a few others are defending it, saying this is what they should be doing. And I think this is kind of a clarification that's necessary, is to understand that not everybody on this anti-Israel train is Christian, and there are some differing factions even among those, and I think that does need to be recognized the closer that the left and the right comes together on this particular issue. And it was unfortunate, but heavily more so disappointed in Elijah Schaefer. Elijah Schaefer is somebody, and Morgan Ariel, both of them, they position and pose themselves as being very front-facing Christians. Elijah Schaefer being a lot more open about his journey, him becoming Orthodox, I believe getting closer to that. Morgan Ariel literally posting like a few days ago a picture of herself, divine liturgy. these are not the examples we should be setting as Christians. But again, you know, people even contest, is Morgan Ariel even a Christian? I'm not going to get into that argument, but it's a bad look and it needs to be done and away with. Especially here on YouTube, right? Like I can just click it. No alcohol, no gambling. And then even when I stream here, it's like, especially when I'm live, no ads while live. It's like, it's a very simple thing to do. It's like, we're really fiending. And it's like, for me, who's like not even making that much money off of this, it's like, even if I'm able to like click and turn that off, like, you think these guys aren't going to take these extra $200 for these stupid posts that are just going to like make their credibility look bad. Anyways, that's probably enough for that on the dissident right side. And we have a lot more to get into in terms of Candace Owens, the bounty, the Brandon Tatum even stepped in and kind of supported her a little bit. We have Vivek, this insane thing with Vivek, basically telling parents, we're going to make it, you know, it more affordable for parents by sending your kids to prison. Not really, but he said we'll make kids go to school year round and we'll make them stay an hour longer. And so there's a lot to get into. And we might even be looking at potentially there being IDF agents embedded into ICE. I kid you not, but let's get started.
Straight through, offensively accurate, that's the view.
So where we're going to start here is going to be on the Marjorie Taylor Greene crash out. I think if it's going to be in the thumbnail, probably should be the first thing that's talked about. And that is this. This is the start. The start of the crash out, I guess, if you will. And so what we have here is the crash out happening because Cernovich responded to Marjorie Taylor Greene, I believe, her opening post about quitting. No, it was a follow-up post about something random. But Cernovich, Mike Cernovich, being in politics for quite some time, the infamous man who put his mouth around a transgender's private individual parts and then wrote a story about it. But this is who she's responding to. So Cernovich quite literally telling Marjorie Taylor Greene, like, no, don't quit, finish out your term. This is what Marjorie Taylor Greene responds with. She says, oh, I've not suffered enough for you while you post all day behind a screen. Now, I won't read the whole thing, but she says, you know, get off your ass and run for Congress. She calls Mike Cernovich, you're just a poster, you're a grifter, etc., etc. But it didn't stop there. So I believe this is actually in a response here. This is the second follow-up because I believe Cernovich did respond. No, that's right. She doesn't. She quotes herself on her government account. So the one that we just saw was actually from a personal account. Now she quotes herself or a screen grab of herself, and it gets worse from her government account. This is the worst one. She says, typical of Republican men telling a woman to shut up, get back in the kitchen, and fix me something to eat. Now, this is where we have to stop immediately. Cernovich told her, go, keep working. Serve your full term. Actually, don't come into the kitchen. Don't come home. Don't be with your kids. Stay at work. And so her quote tweet is, these guys are telling me to go back in the kitchen. It's like, Lord have mercy, no, they're not. And this is like, it's like an automatic defense position, right? It's like, no matter how delusional it is, if a woman's being attacked by a man, it must be because he hates women. It's like, no logic, entirely incoherent. Immediately, it is just like an instinctual response all women have built into them because they have been indoctrinated by this global homosexual society. So she continues, she says, F you in the sweetest, most southern drawl I can enunciate. Enunciate, I believe is actually the correct way to enunciate that. That's funny. She goes on, I've been trying to tell all you men, quotes, right? Because they're not real men. Thank you, woman. That our kitchen pantry is empty with spider webs. Our house has been ransacked, the windows and doors are broken and busted, and the greedy rich bastards have twisted our minds into a sick state that you all continue in the two-party toxic political... And then once again, she says, you know, get off your behind and go fix your own food and clean up the kitchen. And this is the second time I'm reading it, man. I was dying laughing reading it earlier. It's just, it's so bad. It's so bad. It's, you know, this is Wendell's or Wary's law. You know, this is Wary's law. There's a third one, actually. She did continue, no joke. But this is Wary's law. And Wary's law is very simple. And I would actually encourage you guys to actually follow Bendel Wary. He is a pretty prominent Christian on X. Well, prominent, maybe not so much, but he's got a bigger account on X. I'm not trying to be rude by any means. But Wary's law is essentially this. Does not matter what a woman's political orientation is, that by proxy of being at work, out of the home, away from the home, or in politics in general, Wary's law is that a woman will always become a feminist. They will, no matter how long it is, no matter what period of time, like they will naturally move to being a feminist. Based on the attacks that they get, based on what's in their ear, the indoctrination. And you see it time and time again. This is once again MTG moving to being, this is all very feministic talk here, right? Attacking men. And it's very positioned towards typical Republican men, right? It's like she's going specifically at Republican men here. And so there's obviously, she's gendering it out, Now, granted, Mike Cernovich being the one that did say something, and I wouldn't even say, well, he guess he's Republican, right? He's kind of MAGA, but we're not even MAGA here anymore. What even are we? It is sad. It's sad, and it reeks of desperation. And, well, not even desperation. It just reeks of somebody who cannot stand the heat. And I think the reason why she was able to stand the heat prior to this, because it's not like this is the first time NTG's been involved in any kind of, serious dramatic draw of any means. But I think it was because back then there were other rich and powerful men who were like, no, we got you. We trust you, sister. And I think the position that she finds herself in right now is none of those big and rich and powerful people are backing her anymore. And that's because she started pressing on the Epstein list, and she started pressing on Israel. And kind of curious that all people of lovers of power walk away from you, no matter if they are blue or red. And I think that's where she is right now. Is she pressed on something, and only having Thomas Massey and a few other smaller individuals like in that libertarian crowd. And what's wild is I've seen some conflicting things on the insider trading, and I've not dug enough into it, to be honest with you. I know some people are talking about how she enriched herself, and I think that's obvious. Whether it came from the sponsors or like money she was getting for whatever, whether it was insider trading or not. I used a specific picture in the thumbnail because I had never even seen this moment before. But there's photos you can find of MTG wearing like a very, I don't know how to say it, but a very, it's what you see rich black women wearing, like the very, like, it's like the big burqa, like Prada parka thing. It's like she's wearing this bright white winter jacket in the middle of Congress. So maybe it did change her, but ultimately this woman shouldn't be in politics. They're too easily assailable, right? Assailable. What does that mean? It means vulnerable, easy to be attacked. They are not able to easily defend themselves, right? She is an assailable individual, just like how most women are. And it doesn't mean just physically, it means emotionally, mentally, spiritually, all of those things. But again, everyone would know that if they read the words that were in their Bible. So that is kind of the extent of where the big burnout was. She did follow it up with a third post here. And I'll go back to this one. It's obviously not too much of news, but I do think this is the end of MTG as we know it in this political space. And quite honestly, I think it's a little bit concerning, because I think that the way and the nature of this happening, it will, I could expect to see MTG re-establishing herself as like a Democrat or an independent and staying inside of, politics in general. But this is the next one that she follows up with. She says, so your support is telling me to stay in there until I'm murdered and keep fighting the broken system that can't be fixed? That's not support, that's cruel. Instead of listening to me tell all of you that it's broken far beyond repair more than you know, you throw rocks. Now, what I will say to this one in particular, and as well as I believe her first one, John Goyle, somebody who I literally don't appreciate whatsoever and can be right every so often, he did have this to say. John Doyle said that by proxy of MTG doing this, she's basically also signaling that there is real fear from people from the Charlie Kirk assassination, and that this is kind of a signal out to the public that it's effective, and that if you hurt and harm more of us, we'll begin to walk away and we will leave the halls of Congress. Is there something there? Possibly, but she's made mention of it multiple times now. I mean, right here. So you're telling me to stay in there until I'm murdered and keep fighting the broken system that can't be fixed. So she's blackpilled entirely. She's out. She's done. And so maybe this is a final kind of grandstand here. But the irony, though, is this, and this is where I'll rope it back together here. The irony is the fact that Scott Jennings went on a show, and I don't know how familiar you guys are with Scott Jennings, but Scott Jennings is the guy who was positioned on CNN as like the right winger, and he kept having these zingers. He's on a podcast, and I don't remember where I saw this, where it came from, but it was Scott Jennings. So he's talking about how he had inside information as to what was the origin of this kind of MTG Crashout. And so what he says, Scott Jennings alleges that Marjorie Taylor Greene had contacted DC and was in contact with Washington, people around the national scene, and wanting to get advice and support and assistance with a potential statewide run there in Georgia, which is where she's from. And so Scott Jennings says that they did some polling, they did some kind of insider stuff, and they discreetly transcribed back to her what they had found. And supposedly, and this is from Scott Jennings, he says and alleges that the polling data that they ran showed that Marjorie would lose by 20 points to her opposition. And that supposedly was what set her off. And so basically, they were telling her, don't do it. If it's showing you're going to lose by 20 points, that's DC saying, don't do it. You would hurt us. Don't run. And so that's what Scott Jennings is saying is the origin of this kind of crash out from MTG. The only thing is, and I'll show you guys this on Polymarket, the irony is the fact that Polymarket has her with the fourth best odds of winning the presidential race. Now, granted, these are two entirely different polling kind of metrics here, right? They're not even comparable by any means, right? The insider polling being ran probably off of using metadata, as well as probably some pulling in some of their own polls as well from up there in DC. This one being a money market, so it's a lot closer to the people. This is like the grassroots versus what the top end would be showing you. And so JD Vance, and so this data is specifically the Republican presidential nominee for 2028, not the winner, but who is going to be the Republican nominee for 2028. So JD Vance, obviously is leading with a 55% chance. You have Rubio being second, and Rubio is considered to be the person who Vance is going to select as his VP. And then you have Trump and MTG for third and fourth, pretty much tied at almost 5%. I believe Trump edging out by like 0.4%, it looks like. And so this is kind of showing on the grassroots side of things that Marjorie Taylor Greene does have some kind of national sway. And so I guess it's to be said, is there some kind of operation being ran behind the scenes? I obviously MTG is not someone I would full throat endorse or even endorse at all. But I do think with the data on the table from what I see, I don't know where they're getting the information that she would lose that badly in a Georgia statewide race. So maybe this was an attempt to keep Marjorie Taylor Greene from pursuing anything bigger than that, letting her voice become bigger. And so it's just to show you, here's all the data, and this is the way I'm seeing it. And I don't find Scott Jennings to be trustworthy whatsoever, as I believe Lord of the Regis put in here, Scott Jennings. It actually sounds more correct, given some of the statements that he's had. So that's kind of the Marjorie Taylor Greene crash out in a nutshell. And what I would add again too, as well, and to pair it where Nick was at on this is somebody who got close to Nick at some point, and I think largely through Milo Yiannopoulos, when Milo was being this, he was just literally glazing and sucking the dick of every person who would have him on in that little political run there for a short period of time. I do not like Milo Yiannopoulos. What Nick said was, this is a woman who at the slightest drop of a hat basically excised Nick Fuentes out of the movement, acted like she didn't even know who he was saying like, yeah, even after she had spoken at one of the events, immediately kind of cut him off and played coy. And now when the roles are reversed and she's got, she's under the gun or she's under the thumb of all of this kind of media pressure for the things that she's pushing, she literally could take it for like 20 seconds without even half of all the censorship elements, without even half of the debanking, without being, being put on all of that, right? And that's all the pressure it took for her to bow out. And I do think there's more of a broader point to be made, which is, if you were the constituents who voted for MTG and then she's out here quitting, knowing that like that might thrust someone who's awful into that position, I mean, like I would be pissed off too, because you are basically wasting their vote. They got 50% off on their vote. 50% off on your vote. You're only going to get half a term. And so again, and that's even more of a shallow, zoomed out, non-partisan way to look at like, this is why women shouldn't be in politics, period. Like, especially not in a position, well, not at all, period, but even more so in a position that's going to be open to being under the spotlight, open to being attacked, being smeared, because like women can't handle that. They simply can't. I mean, they need to be accepted, and it's part of their evolutionary biology, wanting to not be kicked out of the town square, if you will, right? Because back in the day, for women to be outcasted, it was a death sentence for them, and it's, you know. So we have these working elements there. Moving off of the Marjorie Taylor Greene Crashout, though, I didn't want to spend too much time on it, but I do think it is. The biggest thing from this is where will MTG go from here? Will she bow out, walk away from politics? Is she going to join in? Is she going to be the? And this is what I honestly think might actually happen. Marjorie Taylor Greene might sign a contract with The View, and she'll be like the right-wing voice on The View. Just given the nature of how many times she's been there recently, that's something I can see being a lot of potential. So you heard it here first. Marjorie Taylor Greene will be the right-wing voice on The View. Remember I said that. What day is today? The day before Thanksgiving? Remember this. The dissident grifters, I'll just put this on screen just to show you what I was looking at, but it's some examples from this post here. But this is from the Quartering, again, somebody who is also a grifter, right? Grifters would know grifters best, I guess. But this is a back and forth between two of these guys who were called out, Jake Shields and Antunes. And Antunes being somebody who's been banned off the platform for a variety of reasons, but seemingly continually engaging in inauthentic behavior. And this is Jake Shields. He says, I personally gamble and have no issues promoting it. If you are so stupid and blow all your money because I have a gambling sponsor, that is on you, not me. There are things like Israel porn and hardcore drugs that I would never promote for any amount of money. Then Antunes responds to him saying, based. If someone is stupid enough to blow all their money on gambling, I don't even want their support. They think we owe them daily content, hours of work, public exposure, even at the cost of our personal risk, and we aren't allowed any compensation. And so again, this is because a batch of right-wingers were largely together in a coordinated gambling campaign for what seems to be a scam coming out of Pakistan. And they all pushed it, and they deserve every consequence coming to them. I'm not going to sit here and be pro-gambling for any reasons. I'm not going to be pro. This is kind of where you meet where are your principles at, right? I'm not going to promote gambling because I need money, because I'm scared that when I'm pushing, you know, is anti-Semitism and I'm like less likely to make money. It's like it's actually the opposite of what we do actually as Christians. We don't find ways to compromise on our values to push things, right? The means don't justify the ends. But it was unfortunate because it also ripped in Elijah Schaefer, Morgan Ariel, Sam Parker, and there's numerous other ones that are just lesser known. But it's unfortunate because it's a very, very negatively optics. Like this gives like the No Soup for Knowles and the Abby Libby and the Babylon Bee crowd to go like, look, wow, these are the guys who you're taking your points from, all these non-Christian people. It's like it gives them like the easiest, lowest hanging fruit to come to the table with. And it's like, that's what we don't need. We don't need that. It's in the same vein, and honestly, this is worse. Again, in the same vein from Pine Sap with the Jubilee moment. And again, I love Pine Sap. I think Pine Sap's one of the best Groyper generals in the whole marketplace, if not the. And what did he do? He had a very, 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 very bad optically looking moment where he's just saying, you know, yes, we do love fascism. And it's like, but it's the understanding who the audience is, right? And this is why I go back to it. This is why, you know, I have to do things that moderate certain things in Discord. This is why there's a certain reason why I'm not going to cuss. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of people who would love if I was in here like cussing and stuff because it's cathartic. But at the end of the day, you don't want to do things that ultimately damage the overall message. And that being one of them. So thanks for that, guys. Thanks for extra ammunition for us to be attacked and smeared for whatever reason. I appreciate that. But again, that's just a small story. I won't cover that too much. Going actually to the Candace Owens French bounty. So, yeah, dude, I know. Listen, the awful Quartering coming out and calling anyone else a bad person or a grifter is just, it's comedy gold. It's comedic gold. This guy is a disgusting sponge of a human being. But again, going to Candace Owens seemingly has a lot more substance to her claims than what was originally even accepted by myself. I wasn't saying yes or no to it. I said I just wanted to see a bit more. But so much so that she found herself having a conversation with Officer Talmud, which I don't know why she was having a conversation with him. Maybe just because they're black and that's the way it is. they did have a conversation, and then Officer Talmud came out and said, listen, from what I've seen from the conversation I had from Candace, we need to enforce the law. We need to take this seriously. We need to take a look at this. And so without further ado, I will go ahead and play this clip here, because he did defend, he stepped in on the side of Candace, which I was not expecting. But we will go ahead and play this if I can manage a computer. Here we go.
Then, brother, the American government, I don't care how much you don't like Candace, I don't care how much you've been trashing the American government and the FBI, they got to do something. And I'm going to tell you what they will do. It doesn't matter right, wrong, or indifferent. They have to investigate this. They have to investigate this. And I think that if it is found to be true and the proof prevails, which I'm convinced, after talking to Candace and the stuff that we talked about, I'm convinced, then that means that there should be dire consequences for the French government and whoever else was involved, the Macrons or whatever, dire consequences. I'm talking about the American government should go after them like never before.
So there you have it from Officer Talmud himself. And what was crazy about this, actually, and I don't have a link to it, I wish I would have grabbed that beforehand, is Evan Kilgore, actually. So he's the one who clipped this from Officer Talmud. Like a few hours later, Brandon Tatum actually quotes this exact thing from Evan Kilgore and says, "Why are you lying? Why are you Apex Shakur?" That's actually hilarious. I didn't know that was a thing. That's good. I'll leave that up. That's golden. Yeah, it looks like Hook's on the same thing. I didn't know that's a thing too. That's great. But Officer Tatum, I guess I could just find it because Ian Carroll quoted it here. Let me, he calls Evan Kilgore a liar. I swear I'll be able to find this. So he does this, right? He says, here's the full video, actually. Where is it? There it is. Okay, so he says, "Why are you lying?" I went to Israel and they only spit on me once, guys. Dude, that clip is, you can't come back from nothing like that. But what does he say? He says, "Why are you lying? You better delete this or edit this. I never said I saw evidence. I explicitly said I'm not sure if this is verified or not. I mentioned I'm convinced Candace wouldn't lie to me." So he's mad at like the way that this like was worded. And so he responds and he's like, with direct quotes from the clip we literally just watched. "If the proof prevails and I'm convinced, after talking to Candace and the stuff that we talked about, I'm convinced." He says, "What proof are you talking about? Why would you say you're convinced? How did she convince you without evidence? What stuff did you talk about?" And then Ian Carroll again, "Brandon, regardless of the wording, good for you and sticking up for Candace in this moment." I don't, what point was Brandon trying to win? He just has personal beef with anybody who's like anti-Israel. So he's got to make sure like there can be no extending of an olive branch here. You know, we have to make sure that we maintain this kind of animosity towards each other. Officer Talmud, just absolutely major idiot. Sidebar, because I just remembered this. If you didn't catch the latest episode, the solo show with Zeb Boykin with Noel Fritsch, who's from the National File, definitely do so. But also crazy because they're towards the end. Ian Carroll super chatted in. No joke, Ian Carroll super chatted into Zeb Boykin. I wouldn't give Zeb Boykin $5 of my hard-earned money, but that was awesome. No, I'm just messing. But that was pretty cool to see. And I think there were some other big names that I might be forgetting as well, too. You know, because Zeb Boykin, you know, he is the tinfoil hat guy, right? He's the conspiracy theorist. He pushes all this stuff that has no substance. No, I'm just messing. But I thought that was good. I thought that was cool. You know, if Ian Carroll's starting to notice, maybe we got some big things in store. But that's kind of where we're at with Candace Owens. Her latest statement was, and I believe, for paraphrasing, but her last statement was about how the show is basically on hiatus. And if we are to get anything else, she said, expect that it will be coming from the Trump administration or the White House or some kind of official government agency will be the next thing that you should be hearing instead of coming out of Candace Owens. And I believe that there was also a follow-up from Candace Owens that was more about the Egyptian planes being verified, that there were Egyptians who had checked into the La Quinta Inn and Hotel or Suites or whatever it's called. These hotels have weird names. In Orem, Utah. And so I'm sure we'll get some follow-ups from there. She was imploring and requesting anybody who owns a shop or has any kind of potential CCTV footage that would be around that area. She was imploring people, you know, gather up that footage, send it to her. So the Charlie Kirk assassination investigation continues. So that's kind of where we're at from Candace Owens. Now, there's a couple other bigger stories that we could get into at this point outside of the mainstream. The National Guard one, I think, has to be covered here. So the National Guard, there were soldiers in the National Guard who were shot this morning near the White House. They were northwest of the White House on a block. So I'll pull this up from AF Post. This is not good. Not good by any means, and I'll explain to you. Make this a bit bigger. This is from AF Post, and so there were 2 National Guard soldiers who were shot Wednesday, and that was earlier today, near the White House, and their conditions remain unknown. However, as I was following along with this, it was reported that both of them had succumbed to their injuries, unfortunately. The only thing was the same person who had posted that, and I can't remember his name, he rescinded that, saying he's now actually receiving conflicting and contradicting reporting, and so it's up in the air. So I'm sure many of you might actually know, since maybe you were following the news closer because I was getting the stream ready, if there's been an update on that. So I believe right now it still is up in the air. I'm not sure if we know whether or not the officers have succumbed or not. What I will say is this: I do believe regardless, one of them most certainly probably did. I'm not going to show it online, but there was a photo circulating. One of them definitely did get shot directly in the head or the neck area, and it did not look like he was responsive at all. The concerning element is, where is it going to go from here? That's what is actually concerning the most. And I'll say it to you like this. I'm going to read you. Not only you have here, we're not authorized to speak publicly, but let me read you another follow-up quote for what I have here. Where was it at? Witness descriptions claim the suspect had a long beard and an Arabic appearance. I'll read that to you one more time. Witness descriptions claim the suspect had a long beard and an Arabic appearance. So there it is. And so I guess let's explain this here. So the suspect was also shot and was taken into custody. There's a photo floating around that I'm also not going to show because I'm not sure how that YouTube would treat it, of what does appear to be a heavy-set Islamic man. Of what particular origin, I'm unsure. What I will say is he does appear to be he has the appearance of a Khabib brother. If you know what I'm talking about, the Khabibs, the famous Russians who fought Conor McGregor, they look like that version of Islam, Muslims. So I'm not sure where particular he's from. But the appearance, that's just from what I saw on that image, but he was stripped and put in the back of an ambulance. And the photo that we have is a bird's eye point of view looking directly down on the man as he lays, what seemingly is unconscious. And so what I will show you, though, is there's going to be 2 kind of conflicting things coming out about this. Yeah, a Caucasus Muslim, right? I don't know what that branch of Islam is, right? Whatever those guys are, or how that Islamic, the Ottos, maybe the Turks, maybe I think is what I'm thinking of. I don't know. Where's Josh I when you need him? Just look at their earlobes and tell me. So we have 2 things. And so I guess I'll forward where my head's at on this right now. Laura Loomer's already gotten her post out. Also, 130 people watching. Smash the like button. Otherwise, you are a homosexual. And if you are homosexual, get out. No, I'm just kidding. Not really, though. In Minecraft, I think there's going to be 2 things that are going to come from this, actually. 2 things largely. The first, and where my head's at with this, given the fact that Laura Loomer's already pushed it, is that this is a Islamic terrorist, right? This is a Palestinian activist. This is a look how the jihad is starting. Look how they're capturing. I see that frame, and I think that's the one that, if this is not what it is on the surface, I expect that actually is kind of where we are. On the other element, on the more kind of the cookie cutter version of politics, the red and blue version, what you have is this. And so what's being highlighted is Senator Alyssa Slotkin, who went on TV talking about the National Guard. And also you have another one from Jasmine Crockett. So understand there's 3 paths here. You have the Islamic terrorist angle, which is going to be pushed by Laura Loomer, Mark Levin, and others, because the man has a Arabic appearance. You have the if that is the guy, if that is the alleged shooter, You have the second element, which is the crazy leftists, right? The crazy progressive Antifa leftists. That's the second element. They're going to say because Senator Alyssa Slotkin was going on TV saying, the National Guard was going to start randomly firing on people, that she escalated the rhetoric. And then you have the third element, which is what I've also seen from Jasmine Crockett, talking about how National Guard is going to be firing and killing black people at random. And so you have three reasons, right? You have the National Guard's bad because they present an existential threat to, Islam or, that whole narrative, obviously. Then you have the left and right between the, it's because these crazy leftists keep pushing this rhetoric that it caused an Antifa to start firing at the National Guard. And then you have the racist element, which is the National Guard is so racist that, they were just defending themselves. So you have three, this is where it's going. And so here's number two. Now that I've kind of showed you a little bit about the Arabic appearance there, maybe I can pull up Laura Loomer's post here, but this is from Greg Price. And so this is Senator Alyssa Slotkin going on TV last Sunday and claiming that the National Guardsmen were going to start shooting at American civilians, and we will watch it. And if you'll see here, from 3:30 today, right? Today's the 26th? Yeah. So today, in a matter of 3 hours, this has 1 million views. So this is option B. Why did the 2 National Guardsmen get shot? Well, this is option B. What's behind door number B? Or number 2, I should say. Here it is.
Look at these videos coming out of places like Chicago. It makes me incredibly nervous that we're about to see people in law enforcement, people in uniform military get nervous, get stressed, shoot at American civilians. It is a very, very stressful situation for these law enforcement and for the communities on the ground. So it was basically a warning to say, like, if you're asked to do something, particularly against American citizens, look at the.
So, I'm going to be honest, when I read this, I had first kind of got the impression, so I obviously read things before I just click on them. I had gotten the impression that she was going to make more of an argument that, the National Guard might start randomly firing on people. And it seems to be a little bit of what she was posing, but not that bad. And to view this as being the reason why somebody randomly went out and did it, because they heard this lady say this 30-second clip, it's just come on, dude. Who buys that, dude? Really? Maybe even I'm underestimating how dumb people are. And then so, and Jasmine Crockett, I can't even, I'm not gonna make you guys suffer through it, dude. I can't do it either. I can't do it. But she's pushing the racialized element of it. She's pushing the National Guard's racist. They indiscriminately fire on brown people. And so this is, and what I will say is this, there was almost an immediate response from Donald Trump. He responded on Truth Social, literally, I believe, in the 30 minutes to an hour after it had happened, which is to be expected. But again, nothing when it's something like Austin Metcalf or anything along those lines, that's for sure. And it's not nearly as got the same level of the Charlie Kirk one, obviously, I think for pretty obvious reasons. But I think it is ultimately still just as serious because what you're going to have now, and I believe it's probably already happened, is you're going to have now a call for increased presence, increased National Guard, increased national security, etc., which is then going to, supposedly or allegedly going to call for more of a Antifa presence or more of a, BLM presence or more of a Islamic presence, whatever faction is really the one that's behind it. So, thank you, Uncle House. I appreciate that. He says, what we know about the shooter so far, he traveled from outside the D.C. area to D.C. for the attack. He used a handgun in the shooting. He is an Afghan national, and he shot both National Guardsmen in the head. That is unfortunate. They are sending 500 more people to the National Guard to D.C. Okay, that's essentially kind of what I was expecting would happen. And so this is going to then start building right around the holiday season, right when people are the most able to be paying attention to the news because they're going to be driving or listening to the radio or they're traveling or they're just not going to be at work. We're going to have all eyes on what I'm going to imagine is going to be, if he's an Afghan national, they're going to, this is going the Islam route. This is going to go, the Muslim jihadists are taking over. They own all the levers of power here in America, I wonder why. And this is kind of concerning because I don't know if he's here in chat, but Gen Z Goy has been sending me a lot of stuff talking about how there is concerns of a heavy level of a military kind of police state with National Guard being placed all over the country, but they're not being deportations. And the question is kind of why? What do you need? And yes, thank you, House. Obviously, thank you, House. House is A1 here. But that's concerning, and I do think they will use this to obviously ramp up the rhetoric against Muslims. I think that's obvious, similar to what you're going to see, what you saw from 9/11. It's not going to be nearly as powerful. It wasn't nearly the same level of an event, although it's still just as tragic for these guys to lose their lives. But I had feared that they had both been shot in their head. Just from the one photo I had seen, I had feared that, and that is very unfortunate. It's very disturbing. And once again, the majority of the political eye, the attention economy of the majority of our political apparatus is going to be focused on what? The geopolitical realm, right? Once again, moving away from domestic. It's just egregious, and then, sorry, I'll get rid of some of these tabs. I wish it wasn't this way, but I'm telling you, I see the writing on the wall right now. Expect this to push things further along. Expect probably the further elements of Project Esther to be finalized and pushed forward and developed here. More reasons why we need to make sure we're entirely, and they're all doing it because they hate America, and their hate for America is all in the same as their hate for Jews, and and it's the way it goes, man. It's the way it goes. But R.I.P. to those soldiers if they did pass, and and prayers out to their family, wives, mothers, fathers, children, because Lord knows the world doesn't need, especially America, doesn't need any more fatherless kids. Now, getting into another kind of very serious story is one that I don't think you're going to see getting covered from a lot of mainstream sources. And I think the reasoning is pretty easy, pretty obvious. And that is the fact that the FBI and Kash Patel's FBI and Diane Bongino more specifically threatened Thomas Massie with an FBI investigation for not playing ball. I kid you not, from Thomas Massie himself. I will just let Thomas Massie do it justice. Here is the video clip, about 2 minutes long, and this was a clip, looks like from InfoWars here, but I couldn't believe it, but he said it. Here it is.
Also, I'm going to say this here on camera because it's important. One of Kash Patel's staff threatened my staff with a criminal investigation if we didn't straighten up and play ball.
I was going to ask you about that, but since you brought it up, and I didn't,
I'm bringing it up.
Okay, you brought it up.
And so, like a criminal investigation having nothing to do. He said it was going to be a fraud. We're going to investigate one of your staff for fraud. Right. And he told another one of my staff this: if you guys don't straighten up, if you want to play hardball, if this is how you want to play it, or something like that, this member of your staff is going to get criminally investigated for fraud. A very specific threat.
Right.
And that had just happened. So I told Bongino, I said, one of your guys is threatening my guys with an FBI investigation.
Yeah.
If we don't do what you want. And he said, I'll take care of that. I'll take care of that. Because even he understood that was not a good look.
Thank you, Silwater.
It's probably illegal, right? So the fallout of that is the FBI employee who threatened my staff. I have to tell you all this, by the way, Steve, and I have to tell all the listeners this, because this is the context in which I'm worried for the whistleblower. Mm-hmm. If they're willing to retaliate against a congressional office, which has speech or debate immunity and a lot of other protections, they may be willing to retaliate against a whistleblower.
I mean, like, what does anybody want me to say to that? It's just FBI, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, they are literally everything they said they were setting out to destroy. They have become the Chris Wray version of the FBI, Comey's version of the FBI. They are entirely there. They are deep state apparatchiks. Their entire job and goal and vision is to make sure that they can largely protect the interest of the government and the donors and the elites. Kash Patel, you have moved from needing to be deported to you need to be put on trial for capital crimes against this nation. And I would say actually Dan Bongino needs to serve that with you, especially more so because I feel like Dan Bongino had a period of time in which he almost walked away from it, but he was roped back in. Enemies of the people, enemies of America, enemies of our ancestors, enemies of everything that this nation is supposed to be, quite honestly with you. And I guess what I would say in addition to this too is there's another story that came out also in addition to this that makes this look even worse. Now, see what you want about Thomas Massie. I'll say it again. I don't care about the personal preferences people have. Like, obviously, I have certain pundits I like and dislike, but the idea here is we're playing in a game of strategy. We have pieces on the board, and the idea is to win. It's not to make friends. I don't care how they make you feel. I will support Massie so long as he pushes things that help us, our guys, right? Our side. That is just disturbing. And if that's true, who investigates that? Who investigates the FBI? Right? How do you get something like this when seemingly the entire administration is controlled and will continue to protect Kash Patel? And mind you, with that as well, too, I would also add, let me get rid of this too. I would also add as well that there was a report, again, a report, now take it with a grain of salt. This entire space in all media is controlled and you never really know what to believe anymore. So use your intuition. And if you don't have some, get some. There's a report that Kash Patel is on the out. There was a report that Donald Trump was contemplating firing Kash Patel. And what we got in response actually was Caroline Leavitt posted a photo of Donald Trump and Kash Patel literally in the White House shaking hands together at the time the report was released. And so I would imagine the report, forgive me, probably bogus, probably not real. Dude, Lord, forgive me. Probably not real. And he's the number one defender. Kash Patel, number one defender of the Epstein files. But here's the story that we got with the Epstein files. And you're probably not going to believe it. No, you'll believe it. And that is the fact that the FBI, over a period of 5 days, I'll put it on screen, over a period of 5 days between March 17 and March 22nd, paid out nearly $1 million in overtime for all of the agents and counterintelligence operatives who were working on the Epstein files. Now, given the fact that we don't have the Epstein files, and this happened months ago, what do you think they were doing to those Epstein files that they were being paid to do? That's right. They were being paid to, for one, search for Donald Trump's name in the files, and two, redact and review what was allowed to be given out to the American people. So here you have the American taxpayers paying FBI agents and other intelligence operatives overtime taxpayer dollars so they can hide and redact and obfuscate the people on the Epstein list. I mean, it doesn't get any better or more cyclical or more insane than this. And this is, I mean, time and time again, you have another shining example of like, wow, look what my government's doing for me. Look what my government's doing for me. And another sidebar in here too, I guess there's another news report going around, and I didn't read too much into this one, I just saw the headline, that supposedly there's now another operation being uncovered in Maine showing about a lot of tax dollars being funneled and used for funding for a 100-acre Somali farm. What they are farming, I have no idea. But this is becoming the status quo. That American citizens are the ones who are paying for everyone else. You are paying for your own destruction, and you are called a bigot if you don't like it. Where do you go from here? Somali farm. The problem is you look up Maine 100-acre Somali farm. You will not like what you're going to find. and it's being done through like a lot of these grants and scholarships, and you know the way that they do the funneling of money through the government, through these kind of these private and public partnerships with kind of grants and the different kind of funds they have through that. And it's all basically done in an attempt to essentially funnel your money as a taxpayer away from anything that's in the American interest and into DEI efforts and anything that would basically not be good for the country. I mean, where else are we at right now? None of this is good. It's all bad. It's all done because the average American in this nation worships at the altar of race. And it continues. And it continues. And I really would like to not be blackpilled, but we need an answer. Someone's got to put an answer on the table. An answer must be placed on the table. And to think you have all of this going on, all of it. And meanwhile, Barry Weiss, Ben Shapiro, the usual suspects are on they're on day, what are we on? It's on day 31 of the Tucker cost. Ben Shapiro's going full, he's going full court press. He won't let it go. His most recent clip is about how everybody who supports, Nick Fuentes is a basement dweller. They don't have kids and no future. Yeah, hey, Ben, fuck you. Hey, Ben, how about you take your tiny hat, shove it up your ass, and get out of my nation? This continual attack and smearing and refusing to actually engage in the argument has gotten so old that it is just it is handing over basically all of the keys of anything meaningful that we could possibly do because of people like Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin and Dana Loesch and Seth Dillon and Joel Berry and all the rest. And then also being aided and abetted by people like Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson and Dave Smith, who literally for whatever reason, who refused to just be honest about certain things in the conversation. And they have to go. These people have to go. They have to be excised. We have to push back. We have to start targeting these individuals, not in any kind of sense of physical or violent, but targeting them in pressure campaigns. No, dude, we're not going to let up. Ratio every day. You know what? It's a good thing that the #1 search result for Matt Walsh is get back to work, which I think I might be able to show you right now, actually. It still is on Google. Dude, that's crazy. Look at this. It still is. No, that autofilled it. I'll show you. Look at this. Oh, stop autofilling. There we go. What's the #1 result? Get back to work meme. Who's it about? Scum, man. Scum. And I tell you what, I'm not in the business of anymore, and this is kind of another of a side point. I'm not in the business anymore of people who are older than me, who don't share the same values as me, who don't give a shit about me, telling me what I can and can't care about, telling me what I can and shouldn't want this nation to be. These same people who don't want violent revolution are the same ones who are accelerating us to that very end. And for example, this video, I kid you not, I watched this video and all I wanted to do was go publicly register as a Democrat. This video is from Dana Loesch, and they keep pushing this shit. They keep pushing these stupid, pedantic, henpecking women who just, everything they say just drips with feminism. It drips with incompetence, with impotence, and they keep trying to shove it down our throats. And it's like, please stop. It's not working. It's not effective. And it does help Nick ultimately, but it doesn't help in the broader sense of actually trying to get to the bottom of things. Now, obviously, for specific reasons, they hate you just as much as the left does, right? They don't want you to succeed in your own element. They don't want to be led by men who have their own visions and have their own beliefs and convictions. Then no, they want to tell you how to decide. They want to maintain. The reason why they can't go full send with where we are is because they are benefiting from that matrix. They are benefiting from the fact that men are basically castrated and restricted in such insane ways. Because Dana Loesch knows if she was actually a true Christian conservative and she pushed for the true idea of what patriarchy is, that would immediately, she would have to step away. Same thing with Megyn Kelly and all these other individuals. In the same way that you would have Matt Walsh. I've said it a million times and I'll say it a million times more. In the same way that Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro, well, less so Ben Shapiro, but Matt Walsh and some of these other guys, right? These Dear Groyper videos from this bald-headed guy who looks like he can bench 400 pounds is still the most mentally cucked person on the face of the planet. And it's until they can figure out that it's not, there's no appearances you can put out. It is that we have said, and time and time again, we will not move from this position. We are Christians. We want the nation to honor God. We will not accept this hybrid, perverted, subverted form of Christianity that places men and women at a co-equal position. We will not accept this hybrid version that basically worships Jews, that denies major elements of the Bible. Not doing that. Like, that is the line. There's nowhere else to go. It's like they don't get it. There's no conversation that will move us from here. It's like that is the line. And so if you're not with it, then get out. We will attack you all the same. This is a power play. We are done with the compromises. We said, you know what? We'll do big tent. Here, you know what? We'll do big tent. We'll try to do some stuff. We'll see who we can partner with, and look where that got us. It got us women. It got us primarily women keynote speakers and gay black men. And then God forbid a white man gets some motion like Nick Fuentes, and he actually does galvanize white men, and he is the voice for white men. Majoritively, I'm sure that it doesn't speak for everybody. They don't want anything to do with them. Okay, well, okay. I mean, you're setting the stage. I don't. You think you're gonna talk down to me, talk shit, say that women need to be in positions of power and lead and all this, that blacks can run free and do all this, that you won't open up or at least acknowledge and be honest about the racialized element of the conversations, that you continually push. I'm okay, then keep hitting your head on this wall that you will never break through. All of us are done. And in fact, all of us are actually going further to the right now because of this. And I just don't get it. I don't get it. Because I'm still sitting here, I find it hard to believe these people are that retarded. I find it hard to believe that there's some marketer out there that's going, you know what? Let's run another 2-minute segment from Dana Loesch telling men to man up. That'll really get them this time. You know what? Let's run a 45-minute episode where Brandon Tatum talks about the anti-Semitism in the right wing. That'll get him. What? Like, what? And then you kind of think about, well, are the controls actually so captured that even the people who they're going to of like, okay, well, can you give me some insider information? Like, what are they appealing to since I don't have my finger on the pulse? And they're like, well, oh yeah, the latest data is in. And it looks like young white men want to be lectured to by a 45-year-old hag who loves Jews. Can we get a B-roll of that? Come on, Dana, can you put out another video of that? I sit here, I go just like, God, make it stop, dude, please. Because I'm telling you, I don't get it. That's what I don't get. But for the men though, and where I was getting that with Matt Walsh, and again, like I'll say it a million times again, where I'll get at with Matt Walsh in this Cable Gables, gay dude, whatever his name is, dude, he is, I'm not going to say it. The reason why we won't do it is because we saw how that turned out for you guys. And the reason why Matt Walsh and others actually can't move to these positions is because they are timed in, they're grandfathered in. Matt Walsh is grandfathered into a marriage with Alyssa Walsh where she believes that she is in a co-equal leadership position in that marriage. Now, maybe I'm speaking a bit out of turn because I don't know them personally, but this does in essence describe a majority of these mainstream men. They are in relationships with their wives that prevents them from coming to our position because it threatens their own personal lives. And this is a problem. Because somebody needs to admit they're wrong, and it's not us. And further exploring that, we're sitting here, and this is more of this energy here where you have the youth, a lot of these young guys going, no, you fucked up. You set a poor example. You're not leading. You're being led by your wife. You're being hand-fed by your wife. You are being pulled around by your wife. You did not step your foot down one time. You do not honor God at all in that relationship. You have let the modern sensibilities control you and pull you to where you are. You are not honoring the words of God. Anyways, enough of that. We don't need to be mad. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving. I just think the overwhelming thing is like we're all fucking tired of it. Like we are all, and I really shouldn't be cussing, but dude, I don't know how else to say it. We are fucking tired of it. We are tired of you guys. The only thing that you will get up out of your goddamn chairs for is to tell us why Nick needs to not be listened to, while you sit there and talk about how Nala Ray is such a great Christian. My only thing, I just like, I mean, I'm talking like this is rage bait on levels where you want to like break your keyboard. you want to just like smash your keyboard on the wall, because it's like, I can't even believe that you believe that. It's hard for me to believe that you believe that. It's hard for me to believe that these men enjoy that too. I don't know. I don't know. I could spend a lifetime trying to understanding the mind of a cock. Understanding the mind of a cock. 60 minutes inside the mind of a modern day cock. He's like, I'm cucked, but not sexually. I'm cucked in every way, but. This is pathetic people, dude. Absolutely. Smash giving. No. Moving on though to some of these smaller things here, I will say, the Nick and Tucker beef is back at it. The Nick and Tucker beef has started and sparked once again because Tucker won't stop talking about Nick. He was doing some good things, defending him largely. I think he has said some good things. But he's continually pushing this, he's hateful and he's an anti-Semite, and it's not leaving. And so Nick has further kind of went back to the position of he does believe there is a federal element to Tucker Carlson. And if you've been following along with the Groyper report, and this was more so coming from Josh Vandernoord, whereas Josh was pushing the point, given some of the takes that were, or some of the lines that came out of the Tucker and Nick interview, that Josh had thought, and I kind of agreed with Josh, that they were feeling each other up. Because I think that Nick maybe also wasn't fully in the belief that Tucker was a Fed asset. And I think Tucker was trying to gauge, is Nick a federal asset? And if so, who's he working for? What's the faction here? And that's where it's kind of gone. And so I have this clip here from Nick because Nick responded last night on a show. Let me find this here. To these allegations, and largely saying that regardless of what it is, Nick is of the belief that something is up, given the nature of how Tucker has been engaging since the debate. And so here it is.
Tucker, because I was in his cabin and everything, but buddy, he is up to something. This guy is up to something, and I don't like that he was so two-faced. He's a two-faced. I don't like two-faces. I know I'm from Chicago. We're not two-faced here in Chicago. Maybe you're two-faced up in New England, in Fox News, in that world where you come from. We're not two-faced out here. And so you bring me on the show and you say one thing, and then you go everywhere and say, well, he attacked my dad. I didn't attack your dad. You lied. You lied. You said you didn't know your dad was in the CIA. He was. That's not an attack. That's a fact. He attacked my dad. No. You attacked me. You worked with Max Blumenthal, son of Sidney Blumenthal, to get a hit piece written about me in the Gray Zone, calling me a Fed because your buddy, Joe Kent, who is also in the CIA, said that he doesn't support my views on Israel. So where's the accounting for that? Or is that something else we want to gloss over? And then proceeds to say, well, I don't approve of his anti-Semitism. I don't even know what that means.
Mockingbird asset.
I don't hate anybody. I'm not a Jew hater. I don't hate anybody. I just recognize, like everybody does now, that we live in a Jewish oligarchy. Okay?
I mean, is he wrong?
I won't say.
So I think that was kind of inevitable, though. I think you're kind of kidding. I think everyone's kind of kidding themselves if they thought that this was going to be, they're going to be like buddy and be okay. There's obviously still these kind of conflictions and contradictions in this movement, the dissident right. And still to say, though, there is a obvious coalition between like Tucker and clearly a want and a hunger for people for something that's not MAGA, something that actually is the original capturing of MAGA. And that I think was the best quote in bit that came out of the interview that Nick Fuentes did with Jack Neal. And because he's explaining to Jack Neal, why is he so popular? And I don't know too much about Jack Neal besides, he's, to me, he's certified wang half. He's a tall dude. He's funky looking. The Well, I shouldn't say funky. He's just a tall dude, quirky looking maybe. But Nick Fuentes was capturing and encapsulating this idea of why is he so popular and why is he continually growing, right? Where is this ascendancy and why does he continually keep getting support from people that he, wasn't priorly getting support from in this kind of recent surge? And Nick explains pretty simply, he's like, well, I represent the original energy of the 2015 Trump movement. And that energy is the destruction of the swamp. The energy is the complete overthrow of whatever has been bogging down the system, right? And so back in the day, you would hear this all the time, right? Trump was a bull in a china shop, or, voting for Trump was like throwing a Molotov cocktail into the White House. It was, you heard all these quips about what Donald Trump kind of represented as an avatar. And even in the early periods, he was projected as that, right? Even different factions who might have been opposed to each other outside of Trump could all kind of get together and project onto him kind of like what they believed him to be, and being that kind of energy coming down the golden elevator. I don't need any donors. I don't need your money. She should be in jail. All of these things that people loved because, again, similar to how Nick and Tate are nowadays, Tate less so anymore, but definitely Nick, it's a breath of fresh air. It's what everybody was hoping would be said. They were hoping we wouldn't get more of the kind of Jane and Jack politics of, well, I didn't like what they said, but, here in America, we have rules and laws that we must abide by. And meanwhile, the Democrats like, kill him, bring him down. So that was a good kind of change of pace there. And Nick is spot on. This is why people do enjoy him. And actually, it's kind of a step in the evolution, because prior to that, it was just the deep state. Prior to Nick Fuentes' surge and rise to ascendancy, Donald Trump more so was identifying the deep state. And that was what we was called. Deep state, Epstein, all of these things connected. The only issue was, as Nick kind of rose, Nick connected the final dot. Who was all of this for? Who was all of these deep state operations for? Who was it benefiting, and why was it needing to be covered up? And he put the nail in the coffin on it. Israel and the Jewish organized Jewry around the world. The Jewish question, if you will. And this is what I would imagine is pretty much going to be the final evolution in this side of dissident politics, in the what remains of the original American spirit to not be ruled by tyrants and oligarchs and people who don't have your interest, elites, things that kind of corrupt the nature of what America is supposed to be. And that is what he represents. And obviously, I think he represents a lot more of that. I think, in fact, and quite honestly, I think Nick overwhelmingly is better of a representative and an avatar of that. Nick specifically is more, he's younger, he's way more spry, and he's a lot more intelligent. But even more than that, I don't think, whereas Trump had this very, New York Democrat, there are some things you could kind of go, it's kind of wishy-washy. With Nick, at least for me, and maybe it's different for others, but I would imagine for many people, Nick is like, I don't really need to do much guessing of like, does he really represent my values? It's like, Nick is the closest to anybody representing my values since I have been alive. And at least someone who's been close to the political levers of power or been in that space. And this is why they have to stop him, co-opt him. Now, he did say something that was curious, which was, is this push by Tucker and Dave Smith and MTG and Thomas Massey, are they being employed, whether directly or indirectly, formally or not formally? Is their kind of goal at large, whether it's organized or not, is there an attempt to push them so they can begin capturing Nick's audience? So they can begin pulling him, oh yeah, but Nick was bad about this. Listen to me because I agree with all these things that Nick says, but I just leave out this one thing. Or yeah, well, listen to me. I don't agree with Nick here and here and here, but like I agree with Nick on all these other things. Listen to me because I think he's bad on this. Is that kind of what's being employed here? Is to maximize how all the bad things about him, and then be like, here's all these other options that you could go, where it's 90% of what Nick says, but it leaves out the identity politics, it leaves out the Christianity, it leaves out the Jewish question. It's not what people want. People don't want to return to the vague deep state, and it's like all these, it's these men in suits. There's no names to faces. They don't want that. We want names. We want names. And it's only gotten worse the closer we've gotten to the fully understanding I say fully understanding, but the more that we get the full picture of what the Epstein files are, what it represents, and who's actually behind them, of course Nick is going to rise. He will only ever continue to rise. And much like anybody else who would be willing to say the God honest truth about what is happening to this nation and where those files are and who's being blackmailed and for why. And it's Trumpian, right? It's also Trumpian in the nature that it doesn't matter what you say or throw at Nick. He will have more followers by tomorrow. And as long as that fact continues to remain true, which I imagine it will for quite some time, you can expect him to be a major player moving forward. And good on it. I'll take it. I'll take it. Who wouldn't take it at this point? Here, you have 3 options. JD Vance, Nick Fuentes, or Gavin Newsom. Pick. I know some of you are out there still saying Gavin Newsom. Anyways, what I wanted to get to though, because what is on the other side of this, right? What's the other side offering? What is the other faction of the right wing offering? You know, and here it is. This is what they're offering. I said earlier I watched a video that made me a Democrat. This is it. I watched this video, and 30 seconds later I was registered in California. Dude, bro, you have to watch this. This is what the other side offers to you. To you as a young man, this is what the other side offers to you.
We the people have had it. We've had it with your narratives, your propaganda, your fake news. We've had it with your constant protection of your Democrat overlords, your refusal to acknowledge any truth that upsets the fragile construct that you believe is real life. And we've had it with your pretentious, tone-deaf assertion that you are in any way truth or fact-based journalism. Consider this the shot across your proverbial bow. We're going to fisk the New York Times and find out just what deep rich means to this old gray hag, this untrustworthy, dishonest rag that has subsisted on the welfare of mediocrity for 1, 2.
I can't do it, man. I can't do one more second of it. I can't do it. I refuse. Yeah, she's going to fist them, dude. That's what I heard too. I don't know if that's what she actually said. We're gonna get you, New York Times. We're gonna get you. And all the young men said, yes, you will lead us, Dana Loesch. She is our leader. She speaks for us. Masculinity personified. If you see somebody asking the question, why Nick Fuentes? Why are people following Nick Fuentes? Show them a 50-second clip of Dana Loesch. And who is Dana Loesch, you ask? Dana Loesch is somebody who has been in the influencer circle for at least the last 4 or 5 years or so. She's roped in with her husband, who I believe his name is Chris Loesch. Chris Loesch, I believe, is like a gun tuber. He's in the gun side of space, Second Amendment crowd. That's kind of where Dana Loesch came in. Dana Loesch now is very heavily roped into the Babylon Bee crowd. And she also runs, I believe her show is called The First. With Dana Loesch, she is the one, if you guys remember one of the previous streams, she was the one who had Kevin Roberts on for like the 40-minute struggle session. She's a huge and ardent Christian Zionist. She also was one of the main players on the Calendargate debacle that happened about 2 years ago when What's-His-Face sold whatever that gay beer was that didn't last very long during the Bud Light boycott. Along with her and Riley Gaines and the redheaded libertarian, and you could go on. You could go on. All the conservative women came together and they said, you know what America is missing? Nude photos of us. Well, they weren't nude. Bikini photos of us. Wow. Man. Dude, I was over here thinking like we needed God and Jesus Christ. Silly me. What we actually needed was beer and bikini photos. That was what the right was missing the whole time. Dude, how can I be so stupid? Of course nothing else was going to work besides beer and bikini models. Oh my God. You know, like the Squidward meme where he like gets on his back. Future. Dude, some days I just want to get up and do that. Future. You can't make this up, dude. You can't. You think she's transitioning? That's funny. She does. Dana Loesch does have the Troon makeup on. A lot of these right-wing pundits do. But that's... I present to you Christian conservative America, Dana Loesch. Is she still working for the NRA? Probably. She's working for the Jews. That's who she's working for. Like, that's who she's doing work for, man. She ain't working for nobody but that. She's working for the downfall of America. Her and Roseanne Barr pulling double overtime shifts this last week. Disgusting people, man. And to add on to that too, like the overwhelming majority, I think almost all of them, besides two of those girls who were in Calendargate, were married. So like, what's worse? What's worse? The wife asking the husband for permission to do bikini photo shoots for a calendar, and the husband saying yes, or the wife not even asking because she doesn't respect her husband at all and just doing it anyways. What is actually worse there? What would be worse? Is it worse that she would come to her husband and ask, and the husband goes, "Yes, you should do this photo shoot," or is it worse that she didn't even ask at all? And who knows what happened in the majority of these? You think we can't see it, bro? We think we can't tell you don't run your marriage, dog? We can see it from here. Scaring the hoes. I hope I horrify them. Do you think the first is worse? I don't know. I don't know, actually. I really don't know. I do think the first is... Both are bad. Both are bad, but you might be right. The husband saying, "Yes, honey, yes." I have to support my queen. I think everybody should see her half-naked body. Who would I be as her husband to prevent the world from seeing my wife in a bikini for a shit beer company? What's up, Jackson? You came right at time. I'm trying to not crash out. Oh, man. It gets worse. And so I think one of the final things I will go ahead and cover, I got a couple. Well, actually, no, because there's two I really wanted to cover. Forgive me, my eyesight ain't what it used to be. Back in the day, I could read from 10 feet away, I promise you. Now I can only do it from 2 feet away. So there's two things, and I think we should go to this one, actually. This one's maybe a bit more newsworthy. So Vivek Ramaswamy had he's had a lot of things lately, none of them good. Vivek Ramaswamy put out a video, and the gist of the video was a lot of kind of a message, I believe the reason why he posted the video was expanding on Zohran Mamdani's message and how Republicans need to message their constituency coming into the midterms. And in particular, there was a 7-second clip that has now since been edited out, where he said that to make it more affordable for parents, we should, hey, thank you for becoming a member. Appreciate that. He said, to make it more affordable for parents, we're going to make school year-round, and we'll make it an hour longer. They said, you know what? And because it's going to make your daycare costs cheaper, you don't need a babysitter. Well, the Department of Education can have them. Let them keep them all year round, and then make them stay an extra hour. Instead of getting out at 3, they should get out at 4. So Vivek getting dog walked over these comments by literally everyone who has a heartbeat. He edits out this clip. He edits out that 7 seconds because there's a lot of other things he's saying for the messaging, but he edits out the 7 seconds here. And no joke, Tim Pool, among other people, were saying that it was AI. They were saying that clip was AI, and then he got cutie noted. So, oh, come on, everybody. Yeah, let's take a listen. Let me read this here. Damon Twell. He says it's great that Vivek's video was so dumb that its own defenders thought it must have been AI. And so we have this video here from Tim Pool. And it says, if we are playing this game, we are done. A Democrat candidate circulated a fake AI video of Vivek Ramaswamy promoting something he never said. He has been community noted. The video shared by Amy Acton of Vivek Ramaswamy proposing year-round school is real, not AI altered, as confirmed by Ramaswamy's own campaign spokesperson. The original video was later edited to remove the school comments. Dim fool strikes again. Here it is. Listen, take a listen.
Make parenting more affordable by making school year-round and going till 4 o'clock instead of 3 o'clock so you don't have to pay for childcare.
Okay. It's a short clip of Vivek Ramaswamy, a politician, a man who's running for office, saying to make school year-round from 3 to 4, and it's AI.
Really, Tim? And so what he's going to do is he's going to propagate that argument by a community note that's not shown on X because it's not been approved. And funny enough, I applied like a year ago to be in this program, dude. They just denied me. I never get in. I wish I could because it's cool to see some of this stuff. But here's the rest.
The original audio has been replaced with fabricated audio falsely attributing statements about 4 p.m. to Vivek Ramaswamy. Here's the unaltered original video.
Unaltered original video.
That bring down costs now, not in the distant future, but in the present. Bring down those electric bills by requiring AI data centers to pay for their own energy. Bring down housing costs by ending land use restrictions that stop new home construction. And you know what? Slash property taxes while we're at it. And let's make healthcare affordable by topping up health savings accounts. More on that soon. That's how we win this thing. Let's go get it done. Let's all.
Nowhere does he say this, but here's the thing. You have Dr. Amy Acton, Dr. Advocate.
Bro, so cooked, dude. I'm sorry, but that's so good. I don't care, Tim. Dude, he said it, bro. He said it with confidence, dude. With nothing to go off of besides a proposed community note. Holy shit. Dude, he is one arrogant son of a gun, dude. Arrogant. Absolute arrogant. And they all are, dude. Him, the quartering, a lot of these guys, extremely. Oh, wow. Hey, thank you very much, Todd. $20 super chat. Thank you very much, brother. I appreciate that. And happy Thanksgiving to you as well, too. And for everybody else as well. I should have said this at the beginning, too. Make sure you guys are safe. Make sure you guys are traveling safe. Make sure you do everything in your power to ensure that the woman will not be behind the wheel. Do what you have to, what you must. You cannot let your wife drive. It is a man's job to drive the vehicle on holidays. You heard it here first. Thank you for the super chat, Todd. I appreciate you very much, man. That's awesome. Thank you. But seriously, guys, be safe. Be safe. And for women who have no one to drive them, stay home. No, I'm just messing. Am I though? No, I'm just messing. Obviously, be safe. Try to avoid, getting too drunk or whatever. If you do, obviously, just be disciplined. You shouldn't be getting drunk at all, in my opinion. But you should at least be safe and be prepared ahead of time. I want to make sure all of you guys here in chat are going to be here the day after Thanksgiving as well. And obviously, make sure that you guys are not getting into major arguments with your family. Unless it's about anti-Semitism and then you drive that nail home. Call me in. I'll be on call 24/7. You need a lifeline and an argument with your family about Jews? Call in me. I'll be here, dude. I'll be on the line. You want to learn about the Nakba? I'm just kidding. No, don't do stuff like that. Try to be peaceful. Try to be positive. Be the example in your family that you think that should be there if there's not one already. Honor your parents. Obviously be what you were called to be, by far. Be far and large away from any kind of accusation, and be safe more than anything too. Like, especially if you're around anywhere like that's near me. It's been rainy. It's been snowy. It might get cold. Might freeze over. be careful, be safe. And also too, I should have said this at the beginning, because he's not in here, and I notice he's not in here too, and he's probably because he needs some rest. One of the top mods here in this community, who many of you know him, he posts links all the time. He is one of the top chatters. He's here every single day. His name is Tix Bomber. Tix Bomber was unfortunately hit by a drunk driver. He's still with us, but he has a lot of critical injuries. He has gotten, I believe, multiple MRIs. I think it's looking up for him so far, but he has, this is severely going to affect him. I think, he broke a few fingers, arms, and like in many of these cases, a drunk driver made it out with very few, if any, kind of critical injuries. And so I say that I encourage and implore many of you to please pray for Tix Bomber here. He needs them. Quite frankly, he was out for, he doesn't even know how long. He says a doctor said he was out for 5 days. And everybody knows, if you're in a coma for anything longer than I believe even like a couple hours, that does risk some serious kind of brain injuries and any kind of complications that could come with that. In Texas, somebody who's got a family, he does a lot of work with 3D printing. He needs his hands. He needs to be able to do stuff for his family. So all prayers, everything, please send them to Tix Bomber. He needs them. He's a great guy. He's a great person in this community. He's been around for a long time. He's been here, I think, even before I had 1,000 subscribers. He's one of the OGs. And, it's unfortunate because that's two of my top mods who've had some kind of serious issues happen to them in the last couple of months. And so, need them back to work. No, I'm just kidding. I do hope that they can recover and get to where the places they need to be. Those situations a little bit different, but both stressful, both hard. And I hope they know I'm praying for them, and I hope you guys will too. I wanted to say that. I should have said that at the beginning, especially about Tix as well. But I appreciate you guys very much. And that means House, you have to put on the bubble wrap. No drinking this weekend. House, you have to. It's gonna be the boy in the bubble. Be like, I have only a couple mods left, dude. Protect House at all costs. I have to go on a hiring spree here soon. But man, appreciate you guys greatly. And one final thing before I go ahead and sign off, we go back into a serious nature. I know I've kind of gone literally all over the place. But Vivek deserves to lose his election, posting stuff like that, being edited. And it's just to show you, nobody really knows what they're talking about. And they all talk with insane convictions, like with Tim Pool, right? He's a very arrogant individual. He always thinks he's right until it's proven otherwise. Like he's aggressive on those measures. Same thing with the quartering and many others who are like that. They will push things even without the slightest strip of evidence, right? And I'm somebody who makes it a point to like lurk, and I kind of late to the party sometimes, but I find that to be, you need to have that integrity if you're going to be in this space. And I'll probably be one of the first people to also say, like, I don't know. But thank you for the super chat, brother. I appreciate it. From Safely Bitcoin. I appreciate that, man. He says, like the stream so far, keep up the hood work. Yes, hood. Also, fuck Tim Jewell. You should have shut the fuck up for good after Kanye. Yet his bald head persists. Thank you very much for the super chat. I do appreciate that very much, man. And I know I can play both sides as the wigger, as the resident wigger at Nav. I can play both sides. People underestimate how much of a wigger I used to be. I don't think people appreciate how much I've worked that back. Maybe I'll show you some photos when the time calls for it. But man, there's some ones that you guys maybe wouldn't even watch me anymore if you saw some of these old photos of me, like college and pre-college. I was a bad kid, man. But thank you for the super chat, man. I appreciate that greatly. But I want to go to one final thing before I do go ahead and sign off, and you guys enjoy the rest of your holidays, or you stay locked in. Maybe you do need to stay locked in. Maybe we don't need holidays. Maybe we take the White House during Thanksgiving. No, I'm just kidding. Here's this. And so this blew me away. It caught my attention like crazy. And it came from Project Constitution, which has been so-and-so at best, I would say. So I will say this before I even put it on screen. Take this with a grain of salt. I have not verified anything, but it's coming from Project Constitution, and I find it to be believable, plausible, if you will. And so I don't remember who this is coming from, who the guy in particular is who's making this video, but it does come from Project Constitution. And so here it is. This is where's he at? Oh, up top. So again, Project Constitution, but here's what it says. 121 former IDF soldiers are now working as ICE agents in Chicago. America is officially occupied. And so it's going to go through a TikToker who talks about how he did discover and pulled the records of about 2,000 ICE agents in Chicago, and of which 121 were all former IDF agents or operatives in that market. I was weighing half before it even existed. That's funny. That's very funny. But here's this. So take it with a grain of salt. We're going to watch it from front to back. Here it is.
And we just found out that a lot of ICE agents are actually IDF soldiers.
This is crazy as fuck. I need everybody to save this video just in case it gets taken down.
So it says beauty marked is the @ on this video. If you can see that, @beauty, MRKED. If anybody wants to trace that video.
Yeah. I just did a video about 30 minutes ago. I've been trying to get it appealed. The appeal did not get approved. Anyways, I presented some identities, okay, of certain ICE agents located specifically in Chicago. A group that I associate myself with went through some public records and found over 2,000 ICE agents, right? Well, throughout those 2,000 ICE agents, specifically 121 of them, right, had experience as an ex-IDF soldier. If you went up and down this entire list of individuals, you'd notice that their last names in particular, right, all lead back to one specific location with no other job experience. And maybe it won't let me post it because it's personal information. I have no idea. But there's literally a whole motherfucking list of these people and they all look the same. Which tells me exactly why they're choosing to hide their faces, because just imagine, right, if some information like that were to get out, which is why I'm making this video once again. I'm just saying, if you look into the background of these specific individuals, you might notice that they're not exactly a US citizen. That in itself would prove everything, especially why they're acting the way that they are.
And for me, it's just the ratio, right? Because I can imagine, for one, I guess I would feel like the Chicago ICE office would be bigger than 2,000 agents. You know, like that's just an opening kind of thing that I thought about. You think for a city that big, it would be much bigger than that, but maybe I'm wrong. But I just think about the ratio, right? So 121, if it's out of the 2,000, if that is to be correct, and you split that even down the middle, right? That's 60.5 per 1,000. Split that even more, right? That's 30.25 per 500. Okay, split that even down. That's 15.125 per 250. And so you see where I'm getting here, right? So it's close to like 7 to 8%, like close to like a 10%. One out of every 10 ICE agents is a former IDF, operative. That's crazy. Also, yes, be safe, Marble, especially if you are driving. Do not handle your phone while you are driving. And so it shows you here, and then this is the field office, supposedly, from Tel Aviv, which I didn't even know was a thing. I didn't even know ICE had a office in Tel Aviv. This is insane. What? Like, this is absolutely insane. And, and as they go through this, they talk about how they're also bringing in private bounty hunters here. This is this next one. There's no sound here. I watched this through already. And then, so we get to this Israeli drone setup, which again, here we are with the drones, also connecting back similarly to Utah, also was present there with the Charlie Kirk assassination. But they get to a clip here talking about how the U.S. does indeed send hundreds of law enforcement to Israel to learn, to train. And it's a typical practice. But I wouldn't suspect that it's the soldiers who went to train would be the ones that are considered former IDF, right? That seems like that's not what's being said there. Or maybe that's the mistake that's being made. And maybe the 121 are guys who did go to Israel to train with the IDF, right? I don't know. I've not seen any of these records he's showing beyond what he said here. But, when you're being trained by the IDF military that kills innocent civilians, it's like, is that who our police need to be getting trained with? It's like, well, man, maybe no wonder all these innocents are dying out here. Now it makes sense. It's because they get trained in Israel. It's like, no wonder all these unarmed people die. Ain't that something? Ain't that something? And somebody said it earlier about where does House's chat at? This is something that Gen Z has been pushing, as well as, I believe we got this. This is from, what was it? From Michael Flynn as well. And we have this incident here with the National Guard being shot as well too. And the idea was that we were going to be ending up getting some kind of event that was going to make 9/11 look like child's play. I think that was the words of Michael Flynn or Michael Flynn Jr., one of the two. And so that's the fear. Are we going to get another kind of massive false flag event? And is it also going to be in the same vein as terror? Is it going to be an ideological? And probably. That seems to be what's worked so far. That seems to be what they will continue to do. It is terrifying to think that they are setting up this potential police state. And it's also terrifying given the fact that we know that the way that drones have potentially changed the kinetic warfare, right? Because the old saying used to be, right, tanks, air control can't, what's the saying? It's like air control can't guard a street corner, but boots on the ground can. And it's to say like there are certain levels of infantry and tanks or vehicular warfare. There's different elements of warfare that are applied in different circumstances. And that being that, to truly actually own a nation, militarily and have control over it, you do need boots on the ground. There's only so many places you can bomb, i.e. you can see Gaza, obviously, being bombed from the air, that you would actually need to usher in a ground, like boot invasion to actually clean house people and actually control the street corners there. Drones change that equation. A drone can guard a street corner, right? A drone can fly between alleyways. A drone can do a lot of things these other prior, vehicles of war could not do. And I do think that that does pose a very, 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 very potential red flag moving forward. It does pose a potential red flag, but it poses a huge, what's the right word for that? Threat. If that is the case, because I don't know if we have enough. I don't know if we have enough, not guns, but technology available to the everyday American that could help fight back against something were that to be the case. And not to pose it out in the air, but I mean, we're getting dangerously close to civil war, dangerously close to revolutionary war, dangerously close to all of it. World War III, even nuclear war, nuclear fallout. I'm shaking my table. And it's terrifying, man. It is terrifying. But not to end on a bad note, we can end on a good one. And that good one is it looks like Vivek may lose Ohio. And maybe that means the Democrats will take over Ohio. Who knows? I appreciate everybody for being here. I appreciate everybody, as always. I appreciate all the support, the super chats, the comments, all of it. I appreciate seeing your guys' faces, the regulars, Orthodox Boomer. We have LOL Marbo, Costco Law School. Some of you guys have names that I can't even pronounce, like Mr. JKH, GFHCG, DSZ. I appreciate all of you guys. We do need a couple from Israel. We need to get control of our government back. MAGA is dead. It's been dead, and it has officially died a couple of days ago, a few days ago, if you will, maybe weeks ago, actually. We need to take our nation back. I do believe that Nick Fuentes, as it sits right now, is the future, and we need to put all energy behind him. And as long as he is the tip of the spear and remains the tip of the spear, we have to keep pushing, keep moving the ball down the field, because the goal is to get our country back. The goal is to deport these people. The goal is to win, right? The goal is to win. Not only just for ourselves, but for our friends, our family, our ancestors, our children, and our children's children. That's what we're here to do. That's what I'm here to do. So with that, deport Kash Patel, ban Pam Bondi, hell, throw them both in prison at this point, send them to Israel, whatever it takes, just get them out of our country. I don't even think they're American, to be quite honest with you. Christ is king, as always. Seek first the kingdom of God. I hope your guys' journeys with Christ is going well. I know it can get hard sometimes. I'll be the first to attest to that. But I do hope that you guys are being involved and staying involved and reading up as much as you can on God's word, being involved and ingratiating yourselves, because that's what we need. We do need to be more Christ-like as we continue this journey and battle this fight. Christ is king, and I will see you guys next time. Have a happy Thanksgiving. I probably won't be here Thursday, tomorrow, or Friday, but if I am here on Friday, you'll catch it in the Discord. I will notify you guys. And be tuned in, because we will get the Groiper Report on Saturday, and we'll kick it back off with Nav as well. Happy holidays, everybody. Have a happy Thanksgiving, and we have Christmas around the corner. It's very exciting stuff. See you guys next time. Take care.
Get up and get out. Get out. Get out.
I have a question for you.
Say Christ is Lord. Say Christ is Lord. Say it. You say Christ is Lord. Get out. Get out. run up on the brain.